It's time.
Okay, come on in.
All right, if you are a father or a mother or husband or a wife, I think that covers everything. You need to get on this right away. We live in a world today where we kind of want to forget our history, right? There's too many bad things that happened back there, and so let's just forget about it and be forward focused. And to me, I think that's a little bit self centered and it kind of adds into the narcissism that we have in our world today. Really, there are a lot of valuable things that we can take from the past. So I'm not really necessarily just talking about our country's history, but our personal history as well. So our personal history, and I don't just mean like you as a person, but your parents and their parents and going all the way back. Sometimes there may be some pretty negative things that went on in the past, but those are valuable lessons that we can see and learn from and pass on to future generations. Or there might be just some great stories of overcoming difficult situations. Those should get passed on to our kids as well. So our history really helps us form our identity, it helps us learn from mistakes, and it helps us be a better person going forward when we know where we've come from. I've had this idea for quite a while that I wanted to go and video my parents and kind of do an interview with them and hear about their history firsthand, their childhood and growing up, and then their parents as well. 3 out of my 4 grandparents were immigrants to America, and so I really wanted to capture this. Now, my mom gave me a journal a few years ago. Let me grab it real quick. Here it is. She gave me this. I think it says family history on it there. And this is great. She gave this to me, and it has just a bunch of stories and stories about her side of the family, a little bit about my dad as well. And she gave this to me, and she said, pass this on to future generations. Write down your history in this, and this is great. And I'm gonna definitely do my part in this. But there's a few minor problems with that. Number one, I just have one copy, but I have 3 kids, so I don't know. Do I just pass that on to one? Do I photocopy it? Do I kind of handwrite the whole thing over 3 times? I'm probably not going to do that anytime soon. The beautiful thing is we have incredible technology today that even though that journal is nice and it's nice to have that handwriting to see, I can also add to our history with video. And it's interesting to me because I can think about probably about 20 years ago when we got our first cell phone. It was this kind of like Mr. Peanut shaped cell phone. I don't even know if you could text. I think you could just make calls. And it was right after 9/11. That's kind of when we were in Florida and my family was in New York and we are just trying to reach people and we couldn't. And so that's when we got our first cell phone. But just watching the evolution of cell phones over that 20 years is just absolutely amazing. So I just yesterday picked up an iPhone 12 and the capability is just blows my mind. I guess that kind of shows my age a little bit. But so I'm sitting here in front of a Canon R and I have a Canon M50 that shoots in 4K, some nice microphones and lights. And even though I'm not an expert at using this gear yet, I have it at my fingertips to use. And so I decided I'm going to use that for my family as well, to create a video to pass on to future generations. And so just last week, I sat down with my parents, took about a little over an hour, and I interviewed them. And we had a great conversation. We talked about their childhood. We talked about how they met, what life was like during their high school and college days. And then I also asked about my grandparents. And just I learned some incredible things that even after all these years, I didn't know. It's interesting because my grandfather on my mom's side, for some reason, I always thought he was a jeweler in New York, but he wasn't. It was actually my mom that worked in a jewelry store and then my uncle. My grandfather was actually an elevator operator in a Manhattan apartment building. So learned something new. The other cool thing is both of my grandparents on my mom's side, they are both immigrants from Armenia. They left Armenia, I don't know when, early 1900s when the Turks, my history is probably bad. The Turks and the Germans were trying to exterminate the Armenians, and they had these death marches through the desert. And my grandfather and my uncle escaped from those. They escaped to France, and my grandfather got a sponsorship in America. Don't really know how that works. And he came over to Ellis Island, and later my grandmother came as well. And they married. And it's kind of this cool story about like escape from something you would imagine in a movie. In fact, there is a great movie on that, but we'll talk about that another time. And so I got to actually capture some of that in this video of my parents. And then my dad, his father, was an immigrant from Edinburgh, Scotland, and he came over and moved to Ohio, and he was a bricklayer. He served in World War One and was hit by German mustard gas, and it hurt his legs, and he kind of later died as a result of those injuries. And so I learned all these new things about my parents and my grandparents that now are preserved and can go on to my kids and their kids and future generations. Now, the other great thing about living in this day and age is that video, the video I'm going to be working on of my parents' interview, will be preserved on YouTube or Facebook or social media forever. Well, probably not forever. However long YouTube lasts, I think it'll be a while. I don't know. The world could be ending pretty soon. Who knows? But it'll be there for a while. And so if you take a video and you put up on YouTube, you can list it as private. So just you send the link to people and only they can see it. You can make it unlisted so people can't search for it. Or I guess you could make it public and let the world see it. But you can take that link and just pass it on to future generations. Now let me back up a little bit. So I've been kind of blessed to be able to acquire some gear over the past like 10 years or so. And even though it still isn't the top of the line, it really doesn't matter. So on your phone, you can capture a great video of your parents or your family members and preserve that history. You really don't have to have all this technical skill. There are some free video editors you can get, or you can just kind of do the video and post it the way it is. Either way, it's probably better than anything else that we might have. And you add to that pictures and journals and, even old like reel films, reel, REEL. And if you don't know what reels are, they're not just an Instagram thing. There was reels long before that. And my dad used to actually shoot video on, I think it was an 8mm or 16mm camera. No sound, I don't think. But I have some childhood videos of myself. Maybe I'll throw some clips in so you can see me as a baby. I was bald then too. So here's what I'd love for you to do. In the comments below, let me know if you've done this or if you're going to do it. And I mean, you're more than welcome to share them with me. I'd be happy to check out your family videos. That might be a little odd, but you're welcome to. But let me know if you do this. Let me know kind of what your family members say, how the interview goes, who you interview. I'd love to hear kind of what you do with this and how creative you get with it. So if this is valuable to you, I would love it if you like this video, and it would even mean a lot more if you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It goes a long way in helping the channel grow. And my mission here is to help people learn about their purpose in life, how valued they are, to develop confidence in their life so that they can experience a life full of joy. And hopefully you making a video of your family history will bring some joy to your family members. Thanks for checking it out. See you next time.